Welcome to another edition of Motherland. If you are new to this channel, like and subscribe. What we do at Motherland is that we give you stories and history from the continent of Africa. Well, let's talk about Nigerian Armed Forces Day Remembrance, and we're giving you a story about bravery. Well, this story was narrated by an anonymous lieutenant in the Nigerian Army. He said, on 6th May 2017, I was privileged to fly on the last chopper that brought back the released Chibok girls. Seeing the girls, young, naive, but broken, was a reminder of how cruel man is. When we touched down, I stayed with them briefly in the C-130 before the Abuja lab. Military medics began basic checks, the warming them and tending their wounds. There was one particular girl who had lost a leg. She said the Air Force had hit the Boko Haram position, and during the strike, she lost a leg. I stared at her, wishing it was a dream. Sitting beside her was another girl, the bravest girl I ever met. For the purpose of this, let's call her N. N kept a daily journal of what happened every day at the Boko Haram camp. I snapped as many pages as I could. This girl attested that she was the leader of the pack. Right under Boko Haram nose, every night after the terrorists had ordered them for light out, she would organize the girls for prayers and morning devotion. The next day, I found myself smiling sheepily at this. This is faith. This is bravery. When the medics were done, we were notified that the C-130 will depart for Abuja. N made a signal and all the girls sat up, crossed their legs and bent their hands and led them in prayer. I would later learn that this was her routine when there was danger or the bomb dropped. As the C-130 ascended to Abuja to hand them to Mr. President, I looked. A pilot who had flown the chopper was sitting on the tarmac red-eyed. It took a soldier to talk us to leave the tarmac that day. We're just heaving like bereaved men. Sakin Yakin Damboa. The people of Damboa called him Sakin Yakin, King of War. But Captain M.M. Hassan was much more. Boko Haram dreaded him to the extent that Shekau placed a 10 million naira bounty on him. Hassan was tough as a nail. 2 years after his death in 2018, I met a corporal in Gwazo who drove him for almost of his operation. The soldier was smiling all through, and he said something that touched me. Sakin, they smile every time. In talk say nothing, what person cry. He said M.M.'s Hassan was the toughest officer he ever knew. I happily told him I passed through Hassan. He told me of an incident where Hassan fought through an ambush to rescue him. After then, he never thought Hassan was human until the 5th of January 2018. On January 5th, 2018, Hassan died from a detonated grenade in the midst of gunfire with terrorists. May his soul continue to rest in peace. On the 4th of November 2016, my longest ever day, I remember how excited I was to see Lieutenant Colonel Abu Ali. The first time he was a major. Then stories of him sounded like folklore, like war stories brought to life. People talked of his sheer brilliance and sacrifice from his men. So the first day I met him, he actually came from Malam Fatori to Maiduguri to collect supplies for his unit. Sounds strange, isn't it? A major coming to the city to take supplies for soldiers. This is not your typical senior officer. It is one task they would delegate. I was so surprised by his frame. Man was lanky, very quiet, but you saw the fight in him. He embodies the military song, small body, big mind. He didn't talk much. When he was leaving after a brief discussion, he breathed we will win. In 2015, Boko Haram carried out one of its bloodiest attacks in Baga, killing numbers so much that it was covered up till today. As far as the battlefield is concerned, we would always credit Abu Ali for taking that town back. I woke up to a text on 5th November that the officer was killed in a dawn attack on Malam Fatori. This was 2 weeks after I encountered him. His men eventually beat back Boko Haram, but his death still cut deep like a knife. During his procession, I saw generals cried. The chief of army staff wept. His death rocked the presidency. He defined patriotism. May his soul continue to rest in peace. In your wars, we will win. Eyes from above. I was in Ran in 2016 before the mishap on the IDPs. The armed forces maintain strategic outposts to protect the interest of the country. The one in the Ran is one of such. Cut off from the country and so close to Cameroon. Ran is a flat land. You could see as your eyes will let you. A company of soldiers stayed there mainly as buffers. When I got there, I confessed my fears that it was easy for Boko Haram to overrun us. The CO swore that Boko Haram had never succeeded and would never succeed because of one reason: the Air Force. We get eyes for Oppo. That's what he said. He talked about how Alpha jets took out 8 gun trucks in April 2015 when Boko Haram tried to attack them. Boko Haram, according to him, will prefer to see 100 AA gun than to see one of those jets. Anytime I see the jet, I know I am sleeping well that night. That night I rekindled my love for tea. I was given lemongrass tea. Damn, I stayed awake all night. When my watch shone 11:45 p.m., I remember the CEO pointed to the sky to a distant Beechcraft plane. My sleep will belong today. Khaki Angels. One set of soldiers I admire are the medics. Highly trained, thoroughly professionals. These folks walk in your regular city and hardest of grounds. The Air Force established hospitals for IDPs in frontline communities of Dalori and Bama. Over 100,000 patients are attended to on these facilities. In 2018, I witnessed a miracle in Dalori. An Air Force ophthalmologist performed 132 pilgrims in a day. One of the women, Iyakaka, wept when she was discharged days after. It was the first time she would see after 12 years. She couldn't stop crying for the Chief of Air Staff. As we celebrate this year's Armed Forces Remembrance Day, I pray for the safety of all military personnel as they carry on gallantly doing this job, the most difficult job in the world. God bless you. Happy Armed Forces Day.